Hi and welcome. It's Jules Muller, founder and CEO of Chicks Connect. And today we're super excited to have Gerry Foster, the brand master and the brand guru with the big brand formula. So today I want to tell you all that Gerry and I met at CEO Space probably about 3 years ago, where he is a faculty member and I was a student there, and I took his course and I learned just the beginnings of the importance of branding. And since then, I always make it a point to go to Gerry's courses and learn everything I can. And then this last time, he even spent extra time with me, working with me personally to really fine tune some things. So I'm really excited that Gerry's going to be sharing with all of you today, and I'll just turn it over to him. So thanks, Gerry. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Jules. I am just hyena happy and peacock proud to be here. I'm just so proud of you and what you're doing with Chicks Connect and the impact you're making and the difference that you're having with women entrepreneurs and others all across North America. So it's my pleasure to be here. So let's jump right into it, everyone. I'm going to take myself off the camera just so we can focus on the slides that you see here. And I really want to start off with this slide because what you see here are well-known household name brands. Brands that are beloved, brands that we admire, brands that we trust. But what you may not know is that every one of these companies here, these brands, and many, many more just like them, were started by one person. Maybe two, maybe three. In someone's garage, in someone's living room, in someone's kitchen, someone who had a dream to put something out into the marketplace that people would get excited about and want to purchase. And they started off as a small business. And in these cases, they grew to mammoth proportions. Now, these are what are called business brands, but we could also take a look at what are called personal brands. And that would be for those of you who are offering expertise to the world, because if you look at this slide, you see a lot of men and women who branded their expertise, their skills, their talents, their abilities, their gifts to the world. And they became celebrity brands. Some of them put their name in the product business that they were offering, such as Debbie Fields up in the left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, Debbie Fields, Mrs. Fields Cookies, George Foreman with his grills, right? You see the ice cream guys down below, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, right? Orville Redenbacher on the far right. But then you have others from Dr. Phil to Dr. Oz, the late, great Wayne Dyer, Rachel Ray, and on and on and on. People who branded themselves with the understanding by the rest of us that they didn't come out of their mother's womb just destined for greatness to become these huge celebrities. No, what they did was that they got very, very much in touch with their unique value and gift to the world and built their brands around it. So the question becomes, what do these big brands do? It doesn't matter if you're offering a product like the first slide, or if you're offering expertise like many of you may be. It doesn't matter if you are new to business, perhaps looked upon as a rookie, or if you have a business that you're doing part-time, or maybe you're doing your business full-time. It doesn't matter what type of business you're in. If you've got a product, wonderful. If you've got some kind of skill, some kind of service, some kind of talent, if you are in a multi-level marketing business, you're going to learn exactly what the big brands do, what these folks did to get so big themselves that you can apply to yourself. And it also doesn't matter how old you are, or what sex you are, what color you are, what your journey has been, what side of town you may be from. What I'm going to share with you in this presentation, and that's why Jules invited me, is to give you some nuts and bolts information on what you can do right now with what you have to offer the world in big branded. Turn into something that will mean a lot, not only to your bank account, but to the people that you are offering your brand to. And by the way, let me say this. You define what the word big means to you. For some of you, you may want to have a nice six-figure business. That's awesome. But maybe there are some of you who want to have $1 million brand, $1 billion brand one day, perhaps a household name, a super brand like those other brands. That is not pie in the sky. If these other folks could do it, you could do it too. And then it may be for some of you that you're saying, hey, Gerry, it's not so much about how much money I want to make, but more about the impact I want to have, more about wanting to feel more relevant and just have the kind of lifestyle that I'm looking for. Whatever big means to you, that's what we're going to be looking at, is how to make that happen for yourselves. So make sure you've got a pad of paper and a pen or a pencil to write with, because I've got lots of information that I want to share with you. How did they do it? Well, one of the things that we're noticing with branding, and by the way, I'm what's called a brand strategist, as opposed to a brand designer. So let's get that clear up front. Just like someone owns a house cleaning service who says, I don't do windows, well, you should know I don't do logos. I do brand strategy because great brands are built strategically. It's so funny, Jules, one time I made that comment at an event I was speaking at, and this guy goes, oh my God, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I can get someone to do a logo for $50. This other guy goes, I can get one done for $5 on Fiverr.com, right? I mean, a brand is not a logo. We'll talk more about that. But brands are built strategically. And so what I've noticed is that with all these incredible brands, be they personal brands or business brands, what they have in common is a willingness to do something radical. The willingness to perhaps depart from conventional ways, to step outside the box, to go out and put something out into the world that may not be familiar to people who buy products or services like yours, but there's a willingness to come out there and offer something that no one's ever seen or heard before. Write this down. It's time for me to get radical, to be radically different, to be amazing, not to just put out something that's ordinary. Now, before we get into this presentation, I know some of you are going already, who is this guy, right? I mean, Jules is wonderful. I love what she had to say. She introduced me. But let me just take a few minutes real quickly just to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here and what qualifies me and why Jules did invite me here, if I may. So I'll go through this real fast just to give a little background. Well, that's me. When I was 14 or so years old. And I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, back in the proud days of Detroit, when Detroit was the 5th largest city in the country. The auto industry was booming and Motown music was blasting, right? And so that's a picture of me on Christmas morning. And I'm holding a record album from a group that was connected with my first brand exposure called Motown Music. And that album is from a group called the Four Tops. Maybe some of you are familiar with them. Now, those of you who are watching this presentation who may be a little bit younger than me, you may not recognize what I'm standing next to. It's something called a record player, where you take the record album and you stick it in there, you put the needle on it, and sound will come out, right? So that's what that is. But anyway, Motown lit the fuse within me on this whole thing called branding. And I literally became infatuated at a young age with this whole thing called, what does it mean to have a brand? What is the Motown brand? And what are all these other brands that are out there? So I went on to college. I went to the University of Southern California, USC, where I graduated with honors. I got my undergraduate degree. I got my master's degree, MBA, with honors as well. And I majored in marketing with deep study in branding. And that's me standing next to my proud mom on graduation day. Some of you should go, oh. And then from there, I went to work for a company called P&G. Now, P&G, for those of you who don't know it, they're the company who invented branding. And so when I was there, I worked as a brand strategist in something called brand management. And I was helping to brand and market some of their laundry brands, such as what you see here on the screen with Cascade detergent and Aero Liquid laundry detergent. And then I worked in the citrus juice and drink industry. And for 10 years in the evenings and on weekends, I taught branding, marketing, and advertising courses as an adjunct professor of branding and marketing at 4 major universities that you see here on the screen. So I would do that in the evenings, and then I would teach on the weekends. And then one day, I got bit by a bug. And I bet it's the same bug that many of you got bit by too, right? It's that entrepreneurial bug. And so I decided that I was going to go ahead and start my own company. And so what I do today is that I help small business owners like yourselves create a big brand and a strong message that sells so you can excite, delight, and ignite your market. Even if your budget is small, isn't that cool? Because creating a big brand is not about spending a lot of money. You're going to learn that in a little bit, okay? And my mission, just so you know what my heart is to support owners like yourselves in creating exceptional brands that make an exceptional difference so you can live an exceptional life. That's why I do what I do. And I actually started my brand development and training company full-time in July of 1985. Yay! I've been doing this for a while. And this photograph that you see here was my very first branding boot camp in Orange County, California. And this photograph was taken in February of 1986. So notice the 80s look that all the ladies have with the big hair, and I got the big mustache and the big glasses. I'd better go to another slide, okay? But what I'm most proud of is that over the last 30 plus years that I've had my brand development and training company, I've helped over 100,000 small businesses from over 600 different industries with their branding. And the cool thing that happened for me is that in 2008, the city of Los Angeles, which is where I'm based right now, said, oh my God, we have got to recognize this guy. And so the city of LA had this proclamation, and they proclaimed me as the father of business. And it was signed by the mayor and every member of the city council. Pretty cool, right? And if you could read the small print, one of the things it says there is that we want to acknowledge Gerry Foster for his tireless and faithful work with small businesses throughout Los Angeles and the county. And as Jules mentioned, I'm also on faculty. So I'm the primary branding trainer for CEO Space International. Some of you are familiar with that Jules mentioned. Also with New Peaks Potential, which used to be Peaks Potential, but now they're called Success Resources. I've been their branding trainer for a couple of years now. Make Your Mark, the largest training development company for small businesses in Canada, and I'm their branding guy as well. But listen, I'm not sharing all this to impress you, but simply to press upon you something that you need to know about me, and that's this. And I'll share it real quick as a story. About 20 years ago or so, maybe 25 years, I'm at this event, right? And there's like 300 people there. And they said, stand up if you're in the same field that you majored in college. And I stood up with 200 people. My point is that branding is all I've done my entire adult life. I live and breathe branding. I love everything about branding. And I read an article not long ago, and it said that the average American changes their job or career something like 10 to 15 times or something in a lifetime. And in my case, I've never done anything else. This has been my only job. Isn't that sad? No, I'm just kidding. But this is what I do. I love what I do, and I do what I love. And so what I'm going to share with you in this presentation is what has worked for all of these owners out there that I've been able to sow into their lives or teach them something or coach them, empower them, support them. People who have just gone on and just put together these incredible brands, either for themselves or for their products. And I'm going to share with you real quickly some of the key things that not only work for them, but I know will work for you. Okay? So let's get started. First off, why, in the bigger picture, did Jules want me to talk to you? Why this topic? Well, she and I were talking one day, and what we both realized is that there seems to be three major problems that many small business owners are facing today. And again, it doesn't matter if you're selling a widget or offering services. It doesn't matter, again, how long you've been doing this. I will assert that if you are not facing these three problems or have not faced them already, all three or one or two of them, you will at some time. These are the three major challenges that seem to be hurting so many small business owners across this great country of ours, not to mention Canada as well. The first problem is this. Too many of you are getting lost in the crowd. Think about that. Think about the world we live in now. There's like zillions of websites, millions of blogs and social networks, numerous goods and services that you can choose from. And here you are, yourself, in whatever business you're in. And I don't care if you're in a multi-level marketing business to owning an accounting firm to putting out the next great product. Unless you're standing out, you're invisible. Write that down. Unless you're standing out, you're invisible. And it seems like we're all just a bunch of cows, right? We're all just cattle. And what do we know about cows? They all look alike, right? So if that rancher has a ranch and his cow, one of his cows, goes through a broken fence and goes onto somebody else's property, he can go over there and say, that's my cow because that's my brand. Interesting, isn't it? And so if you start from the premise that unless you are standing out, you are invisible, you must do everything that you can to get, write this down, to get noticed, remembered, and desired. I'll get that to you again. You must do all you can to get noticed and be remembered and desired so that you're not fading into the background like so many owners are. The second problem is that there's no discernible difference between most products and services. Think about that for a second. On the one hand, you've got people who are not being noticed because they're not standing out. The second problem on top of that is, well, one of the reasons why you're not standing out is because a consumer cannot distinguish what you offer that is different and better than other choices. Are you listening to me? And so you're this giant blur, like this guy in the slide here. You're like a blur. And so what is hurting so many owners is that they're not presenting a brand as opposed to services or products. Because when you put out a brand, it is going to allow you to slice and dice your way through all the clutter, make your way through jungles of resistance so that people will stand up, sit up, and take notice about who you are and what you offer and care about it, because they'll see that you're not like everybody else, especially if you are part of Chicks Connect. Write this down. I was born to stand out, not blend in. Okay? But think about this for a second. If you are not setting yourself apart from the rest of the crowd, from the rest of the competing herd, as I like to call them sometimes, then you are going to get caught up in this raging, ferocious storm of lookalikes, where the consumer can't separate you from everybody else, and so therefore they think that you're just another hummer. And then the third problem is this, and that is, write this word down, please, indifferent. Consumers are indifferent to you. Have some of you come across a situation where you are perhaps networking, or you're talking to a potential customer on the phone, or you have launched some kind of marketing campaign or some kind of marketing activity, you're trying to get leads, you're trying to find people who are seriously interested in what you have to offer, and then when you end up talking to them, they basically look at you or listen to you and come to some wacky conclusion like, well, I'm already working with someone like you already, or I already know someone who does what it is that you do. Oh, that product? Yeah, I've tried products like that before. Oh, I've got a vendor. I've got a supplier. I've already got an independent professional. Oh, I've done the MLM thing already. Ooh, that didn't work. Oh, right. And then they cross their arms like this young lady in the folder and say, my mind is made up and you can't change it. They're indifferent. And so your goal is to get that person to not only separate themselves from whoever or whatever, but you want them to get a divorce, to let them know that you've got something that is not like everybody else. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this presentation as well. And on top of that, everybody's busy. Everybody's on the move. In this short attention span world, it's getting more and more difficult to be noticed, remembered, and desired. What is it, Jules? They're saying that when someone lands on a web page, on your home page, if they stayed for 15 seconds or something, that's like an accomplishment. I mean, people are just on the go. And you're like, can't you just take the time and notice that I'm not like everybody else? It's just a struggle, right? For you just to stand out. And you gotta stand out from the rest of the crowd. Because if not, you end up like this situation where you're like, can't you just stop and listen to me? Can you respond to my email? You might want to return a phone call. Is it too much trouble for you to reply to my text message? Is it going to be too difficult for you to come to a meeting that I'm inviting you to, or to be part of a phone call that I would like you to listen in on? Can't you just stop and listen to me? And by the way, anybody who's watching this program, if I pass by your house, you don't have to invite me in, okay? You can wave at me. In other words, I'm getting real here with each of you. This is reality stuff that we're talking about. And these problems here are killing many businesses in this country. And it shows up as slow sales, no sales, cash flow problems. Feeling frustrated. being in a situation. You ever been there at the end of the month? You've got more month left at the end of the money. You ever heard that expression? Where the money is funny and the change is strange. And you're wondering, how in the world did I get myself into this situation? And one of the big mistakes is that people forget and overlook as an owner is that the solution to this starts with having a strong brand. It's all about your brand. Make no mistake about it. In this brand conscious world that we live in, where we all have preferences, where some of you, for example, may prefer to lace up a pair of Nikes over a pair of other sneakers. You may decide to go into a Subway as opposed to a regular or another sandwich shop. You may decide that you're going to get your coffee at Starbucks as opposed to a 7-Eleven or somewhere else where you can get a great cup of coffee. You may decide that you're going to shop at Target or Marshall's or Ross or Nordstrom's Rack or certain retailers because you feel that, well, I can get better value there and better selections there as opposed to going to Nordstrom's or somewhere else. My point is that in this world that we live in, at a subconscious level, each and every one of us have preferences for brands and brand names. Not products, not services, but brands. And you as an owner must understand that in this world where you turn on the TV and they're talking about the brand, you go online, you read in the newspapers all about the brand, you listen to certain celebrities who love to talk about their brand. Why is that? Because the brand is your legacy. There's nothing more important than your brand. It's your reputation. It's what you're asking people to believe in. It's what you're putting on the line. It's what you're telling people you can be counted on to deliver. There's nothing more important than that. And that's why in America, in case you don't know it, the most successful companies, small, too big, or whatever, are brand-driven companies. Because the name of the game today is the brand. Nothing but the brand. And so in my observation with so many owners who do find themselves facing some of these problems, they think that the key is marketing, and they don't understand that you've got to brand yourself so that when someone says your name, you can say, my brand is about so-and-so, right? Because it's the brand called you. It's all about you and who you are being, and how you are presenting yourself as the authentic expression of that highest, best version of yourself to present to the world through this vessel that your God has given you called your brand. Now, I know we don't have a lot of time, and I hope that you will stay to the end of the presentation because I do have a special offer for you. It's not going to cost you anything, so let me tell you that right now. I don't sell, so don't think I'm going to come back and ask you to buy something. I'm not, but I do have a special offer for you at the end that I think you're really, really going to love, and you won't want to miss out on that. Okay, so hang in there. But here's the thing. Having a big brand doesn't require big money. See, what I do is when I show people how to create a big brand and a strong message that sells so you can excite, delight, and ignite, I show people how to replicate the principles and methods and approaches that the big companies use, that you as a small business owner can use as well, which is not a function of how much money you have or how much money you don't have. It's about making sure that your foundation is in place. And what I mean by that is that you are assembling all the key elements that have to be in place, glued together a certain way so that you can develop a brand strategically that contains all these elements so that your brand is one that people will want to do what? Notice, remember, and purchase. And so what you see here on this slide are the 7 key components of what has to make up your brand. You nail down what your purpose is, how do you separate yourself from the rest of the crowd, who's your brand community going to consist of, otherwise known as your avatar. What is your brand DNA, meaning that your brand has to be anchored in those things about you that makes you the magical, special woman or guy that you are. Next is speaking volumes without saying a word, which has to do with image. We'll talk about that. And then affirming your wow, because at the end of the day, when you are presenting your brand to the world, you have got to impact people and wow people so they fall in love with you. So you got to know how to affirm that, how to message that, how to language that, and then have a clever tagline at the end of it so people remember you even more. That's the key. And doing this here doesn't cost a lot of money. You just have to know how to do it and where to go to get it done, right? So before we get into all the specifics about this, and again, I'm going to try to get as much to you as I can in the remaining time that I have. So I just want to hit on some core elements here. And it's very cool that Jules is recording this because you now have an opportunity to go back and watch this as many times as you want, right? Isn't that cool? Make sure you thank Jules for that. But I wanted to say this. What is this thing called branding? Because this is really where it starts. This is one of the reasons why there's a problem out there with so many owners, is because people don't even understand what branding is. And here's the thing. A brand is not something that people can see. It's not a website with nice graphics and content. If you're a speaker or a trainer, it's not your speaker one sheet in your speaker's kit. It's not, oh, Gerry, I've written the book, I'm branded. I got a clever thing that I call myself. I'm America's financial coach, right? It's not your tagline. It's not your logo. It's none of that. A brand is more than that. It's an experience. That's what a brand is. It's you deciding what is it that you're going to give people, revolving around what they want from a brand like yours that you can help them get only through your big brand. Look at the words in gold. So the question to ask yourself is, what do people really want from you? With the recognition that a brand is not a logo. And I cannot tell you how many times people come up to me at different events where I'm speaking or coaching and training and that sort of thing, and people come up to me and they pull out a business card and go, here, Gerry, look, I got a logo, I got pretty colors, I got a tagline, I'm branded. And I go, no, you got a logo, pretty colors, and a tagline. That's called brand image. If it were as simple as that, we'd all be rich. Because image alone does not give you what's called brand power. And you'll learn more about that as we go on in this presentation. And I define brand power as you having that ability to move massive amounts of people toward your brand so that you can drive the financial results that you're looking for or have the kind of impact that you were seeking. So a brand, in essence, is you telling people what they will get only through you. So they can decide if that's something that they want. So what you could say, write this down, please, is that in a nutshell, a brand is a promise. It's a mark of trust. It's you telling people what they can be counted on to receive from you, and only you. Interesting thought, isn't it? For some of you to start thinking about, yeah, I do have preferences for certain brands. Yeah, I do associate something with certain brand names, right? It's like, oh, if you're going into a supermarket and you grab a shopping cart, for example, and you decide to go into the laundry detergent section and you want to get the brand that's going to get out ground in dirt, you probably think of Tide. If you want to get some dishwashing liquid so that you have young looking hands, you're probably going to think of Palmolive or Ivy liquid. And if you don't want to have grease on your dishes, you think of Dawn, right? I could go on and on here. My point is that we as consumers, right, we associate certain things with brands. There's a preference that we all have because we know what that brand can be counted on to deliver. Now, translate that to your business. Are you presenting a brand that in essence not only tells people who you are and what you stand for, what you can be counted on to deliver, and only through you can they receive that? Or are you instead telling people what it is that you do? Well, here are the services that I offer. Here's my happy client list. Satisfied customers, right? I mean, there are millions and millions of small business owners who are going down that rabbit hole. Male, female, old, young, whatever color they are, it does not even matter because there are people who don't make the distinction that the key today is to put out a brand that allows people, write this down, to get something that they cannot get anywhere else that they really care about. So what do you do? Well, the first thing you have to do is once you make the decision that you are going to transform your product or service into a brand, you first have to make sure that you follow the proper sequence. See, the sequence, whenever you're looking to ramp up sales, if some of you are looking for customers, if some of you need to increase your income, if some of you want to make sure that tomorrow is better than yesterday, that next week is better than last week, that what's coming is better than what's been, so that the worst is behind you and the best is in front of you. I think Jules forgot to tell you that they also call me the branding evangelist, so that you can have the kind of brand that impacts people the way that you want them to. The sequence is brand, market, sell. You first create your brand, then you market and sell your brand. And so what you got to do is you got to look at those three elements: brand, market, sell, brand, market, sell. Okay, I got you. Okay. And you have to look at them as a three-legged stool, meaning that all three legs have to be in place. If one leg is missing, if one leg is wobbly, you're in trouble. But it also suggests that one leg is not more important than the other, meaning that branding is not more important than marketing, and marketing is not more important than selling, and selling is not more important than branding. They're equally important. And so the way that I separate the three elements is to say that the job of branding is to differentiate you. Marketing's job is to get people to notice what makes you different. And the job of selling is to get people to pay for that difference. Let me say that again. Branding, telling the world, your market, there's no one else like you in what you offer. Jules, I hear background noise. I think you just need to turn your sound off. Marketing's job is to then get people to notice that difference, and the job of selling is to get people to pay for it. As I like to say it, branding will get you known, marketing will get you found, and selling will get you paid. Hello, right? And it's in that process, what's happening with so many small business owners is that they've got the cart before the horse. They don't understand that whenever you're looking to ramp up sales and generate more income, it's like building a house. There's 4 phases to this whole thing. Phase 1 is to create what's called your architecture. There's background noise. I hear somebody sneezing. Jules, I don't know who that is. I'm hearing noise in the background. Thank you.
Gerry, I'm sorry. I don't hear anyone, and I don't see anyone else on our recording here. So that's weird. I'm just gonna close out all other tabs that I have open, and I'm gonna mute myself again, and we'll see if that works.
All right. And so it's the first thing you do is create what's called your brand architecture, otherwise known as your brand strategy, which basically means you put down your foundation, all the pieces that have to go together, make sure it's all there, glued together the right way, and then you pass it on to what's called your brand builders. So just like in home construction, right, you would start with the architect creates the blueprint gets passed on to the builder in phase 2, and the builder brings in subcontractors, right, plumbers, electricians, and carpenters for actual construction. So in my world, once your architectural work is done in phase 1, you then take the brand blueprint and pass it on to the builders who are marketing people. So my version of plumbers, electricians, and carpenters are the people who will do your website, your videos, your podcast, your social media, your online marketing activities, publicity, and on and on and on. But they now have a blueprint to follow so they can do their job effectively. And then once that work is done, then you go out there in phase 3 and do what's called brand implementation. So now you're taking the marketing that got developed in phase 2, and you're out there getting leads and conversions, paying customers, so you're happier. And then you go to phase 4, which is brand management, which means you manage the brand daily, weekly, monthly by the numbers and make sure it works. So you move from architecture to building to implementation and management. And where so many owners get in trouble is that everybody wants to get to phase 3 as quickly as they can. And they're often not ready yet. Or they get excited by all the bling bling of phase 2. Oh, I need a website. Oh, let's do videos. Oh, let's do some nice looking business cards and all this kind of stuff. And what's missing is phase 1, and that's the architectural work. That's the foundation. So the long and short of this is, don't put the tile down before the cabinets are up. Okay? And I got to tell you, I had someone come up to me one time and said, "Oh, Gerry, you were so right. I have wasted more time, more energy, and more money on marketing that did not work, and I got 2 black eyes and a bloody nose to prove it." But if you have the right foundation, then everything else falls into place. So the goal of this presentation is to make sure, which is part of the work that I do, is to make sure that you have a house with a sturdy roof, and I let other people do the decorating, and that's the marketing people. You follow me? So let me give you some tips real quick, because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I really want to give you some real valuable tips that are part of phase 1. So in your notes, you can call these brand architectural tips that are necessary to be a part of your foundation. Because again, home construction, what would you do? You're laying down the metal rods, you're putting the studs in place, you're pouring the concrete to do what? You're putting the pillars in, right? To have the foundation that the house can sit upon, right? To build, right? Same thing here. I'm showing you how to make sure that you are laying down the right foundation so that what? The marketing can get loaded into it, right? To help build this house called your brand, all right? Brand, market, sell. It's that simple. So let me give you some tips real quick. First one is find a gap. There was a great book that has sort of become like the Bible of the branding universe called Blue Ocean Strategy. And basically the basic premise is that great brands swim in what's called blue ocean waters, meaning that you are putting something out to the market that allows you to have, write this down please, something called a standalone brand, meaning that your brand is going to be known for something that is fresh, rare, original, something that people have not seen or heard before, so that you are planting your flag and staking your claim in market space where nobody else is. And the thinking there is that if you can navigate blue ocean water space known as a brand, unlike anyone or anything else on the market, you avoid what's called red ocean waters, which means that there is no perceived difference. Remember one of the problems I said earlier? No discernible difference. So if the consumer perceives that there's really not much of a difference between you and the competition, they put you in red ocean, which means they have now labeled you as generic. They now look upon you as a commodity, and the only way that you can compete in that space is on price and availability. Because in the eyes of the consumer, you're a jar of mail, you're a piece of furniture, you're a carton of milk, you're a bottle of water. And I'm saying, look, instead of being a bottle of water in red ocean, be Evian in blue ocean. Instead of being a pair of sneakers, be Nike. There's razor blades and there's Gillette. There's cake mixes and there's Betty Crocker. There's motivational speakers and trainers and there's Tony Robbins. There are bananas and they're Chiquita, right? You got to start looking at them. You got to start wondering why. How do these brands, how do they manage to be these standalone brands known for something that nobody else is? Well, they find their gap in the marketplace. And they build their brand around a single idea. And everyone listening to this program can do the same thing. Again, it doesn't matter what you offer. You have got to find your blue ocean, right? So ask yourself, I wonder if there is a performance claim that I could make. I wonder if I look at my type of product or service, is there something that people are sick and tired of putting up with? Is there something as it pertains to the type of product or service that I offer that's not working, that they would like to have work better, that they would like to change for the better? Where's the gap, right? Are you following me on this? In other words, you're saying when it comes to my kind of product or service, I know people want A, B, and C, but they're settling for D, E, and F. And you want to be able to say, guess what? I got the A, B, and C you've been looking for. So ask yourself, what problems do you solve? What outcomes do you improve? See, here's the thing about this slide. You should really write this slide down and make note of it, number 46, because here's the thing. It's been shown in branding, people don't pay for products or services. What they pay for is what your product or service would do for them. And if you stand in the shoes of the customer, all they really want to know is, number one, are you going to solve a problem that I have? If I do business with you, if I use your services, if I buy your product, if I book you as a speaker, if I become part of your MLM, are you going to solve a problem in my life? I've got this painful, annoying, aggravating problem. Can you make it go away? So therefore, you want to position your brand as what? The ultimate remedy. Or number two, what outcomes do you improve? Can you take people from where they are to where they want to be? All right, that's like someone saying, my brand will make your kids smarter, or I'll take your company from losing money to making shiny profits in 3 months, right? People pay for better outcomes, better results. Or the third one is, can you perform a freaking miracle? There are a lot of brands out there who are positioned around an ability to perform a miracle. Lose 20 pounds in 20 days without going hungry. Get rid of belly fat in 10 days. I'll get rid of your migraine headache in 5 minutes, right? Man, if you use the ab machine, you can have a six-pack ab in 30 days, right? I mean, it's crazy. And then the fourth one here is there an emotional payoff that you provide? That if people work with you, if they use your product, they can stop experiencing negative emotions. People don't want to be frustrated. They don't want to be stressed out. They don't want to worry. They don't want to feel confused or overwhelmed. There's all types of negative emotions. But here's the thing. You have to determine from this slide, what is your brand about? Is it about solving problems, improving outcomes, performing miracles, or delivering some kind of emotional payoff? Because if you took any one of these or a combination thereof, tied a ribbon around them, and then framed it, named it, blabbed it, grabbed it, walked in it because you decided to be in it, it spells benefit to your customer. And that's why you got to sell the sizzle now, not the steak. It's more about the bubbles than the champagne. It's about the whiff of the coffee and not the coffee. So that's why, see, if you say Facebook, you think social network. If you say Google, you think search. If you say Instagram, you think pictures. Well, what do you think if you say Yahoo? Yahoo, right? So now ask yourself, gosh, what are people thinking when they say my name? What are you having people associate with the name of your brand? And I don't care if it's your birth name as a personal brand or a product that you have. So this is the first step, right? This is where all these great brands are looking for. Where's their blue ocean opportunity? Where can they plant their flag? Where can they stake their claim so that they can say, I provide unrivaled value unlike no one else? I mean, in the thought leader space, for example, Tony Robbins built his brand around the idea of life on your own terms. He's never deviated from that. Les Brown, you have greatness within you. Originally, it was live your dreams. John Maxwell, live out leadership. Oprah, lead a fulfilling life. Now, this may not sound very original today, but 20, 30 years ago, when these folks were proclaiming this as their blue ocean, nobody was saying stuff like this. Groupon, huge discounts from local businesses. Martha Stewart has always been about the core perfection. That's her brand. Jillian Michaels, world's toughest trainers, LegalZoom.com, low-cost online legal services, right? And once you find your blue ocean, now you want to provide unheard of value. Look at this slide. How many of you see the old woman and how many of you see the young woman? Interesting, right? Because you're going to see one of the two, but if you stare long enough, you'll see both. My point is that in branding, it's all about shaping perceptions. Each of you has to shape the perceptions of how people see you, because unless you do so, they're going to label you, pigeonhole you, and put you in a box. Oh, I'm a real estate agent. Okay, I'll put you into the real estate pile. I'm a financial planner. Oh, I put you into the financial planner bin. I'm a life coach. Oh my goodness, I'm going to put you into the life coach bin. I'm in an MLM. Woo! Let me put you into the MLM pile, right? So the idea here, and what I'm giving and equipping each of you with, and I want you to be able to grasp, is the power to shape how people see you. And your goal is for people to see you as being better and different than anyone or anything else by shining a spotlight on the value that you deliver that nobody else can. Blue ocean. Blue ocean around a set you apart quality that will make you stand out and your brand known, and in the process of that, probably make you famous and a whole bunch of money. Now, when I say make you famous, it doesn't mean celebrity status, but it can certainly mean rock star status in your industry. And if that's something that's important to some of you, that certainly can happen by applying and learning what it is that I'm teaching you here, right? Because it all has to be morphed into a me only statement that allows you to say, my brand is the only hummer that does hummer. Woo! There you go. You want to be able to say at the end of the day, I'm a one-of-a-kind brand. Nobody does what I do. See, Harley Davidson and all these great brands occupy what's called me-only blue ocean market space, as opposed to me too red ocean market space. Based on another premise, whereby brands like Nike and Starbucks have shown us that the products they offer are less important than the brands they market. I'll say that again. Nike, Starbucks, and others have shown us that the products they offer are less important than the brands they market. Write this down. I must be me only. You have to. You really do. See, Harley-Davidson, the only motorcycle manufacturer that makes big, loud motorcycles for macho guys and macho wannabes, mostly in the United States, who want to join the gang of cowboys in an era of decreasing personal freedom. That's the me only statement. Built around the elements that you see in gold on the left-hand side. Interesting, right? That's a standalone brand. Shines above, rises above the rest of the competition, just like each of you has to do. One time I had this young couple, Jules, and they did marriage counseling. I said, what do you do? And they said, marriage counseling. And I go, oh my God. I mean, that's like, you can't get any more red ocean than that. Because again, when you're in red ocean, no discernible difference, realizing that people are indifferent, realizing that people are going to simply put you into the background, let you fade into black, see you as basically being invisible just because of how you speak about yourself. So I got into, after much coaching, to come up with this me only statement. Look at this. We're the only coaching team that makes love last for married couples, most of the United States, who not only want their marriages to flourish, but know you're the only one for me. In an era where so many people wonder, is true love even possible for me? And I got them to share that with couples. Guess what the result was? As opposed to, hi, we're John and Cindy, and we do marriage counseling. But when they speak as a brand, letting people know who you are and what you're standing for, and being the fullest, authentic expression of yourself, the higher self, right? Where you are unfolding into how your God created you to be. When you are standing at that level, speaking from a place of self-appointment, you would naturally say something like this, because people will then be attracted to you. Write this down. I must be the honey and not the fly. I must be the honey and not the fly. You see, flies chase, honey attracts. Some of you are chasing business. Say this out loud, my begging days are over. It's time for business to come to you. And it starts with making sure that these elements are in place, right? And then you back it with what's called your secret sauce, anchored in something called your brand DNA. This is where we take everything about you, your competencies and how you think and what you know works and doesn't work, and your values and your standards and all the things about you or your product that end up being proprietary or even patentable if it were a product, and you make sure that you build something out of that that becomes your secret sauce. See, that's why when you watch TV commercials, big brands understand that most consumers make purchase decisions emotionally backed by logic. And so you look at a TV commercial for Chevron, and Chevron says Chevron contains Techron. Why is that? Because all gasoline is the same, but they differentiate themselves through their additives. And so Chevron says they have Techron. Cert says, oh, we have the powerful breath freshener called Retsin. Bounty. One time I saw this TV commercial for Bounty, Right on the screen, they put Bounty, the cricket pecker upper, let the spills begin, all right? And the next thing you knew, they split open the paper towel on the TV commercial and said, Bounty absorbs twice the liquid as any other paper towel because we have something called trap and lock technology. And I sat there and I go, whoa. What's my point? Find your version of trap and lock technology. Concoct your secret sauce, your own secret recipe. If some of you love to cook, think of it like that. You put together a recipe, you put in the ingredients into that recipe, you got to do the same thing in your business. Because your secret sauce, if you have a service business, is your delivery system. If you have a product, it's something patentable, some physical attribute in the product, right? And you got to have that. So just to kind of wrap this up real quick, because I know we're at the hour mark here. These are your 7 core ingredients. This is what each of you should be focusing on. We only covered a couple here because we only had an hour, but you want to nail down what your brand purpose is. Find your blue ocean. Realize that great brands are built by a community known as your avatar, so you need to identify who those are. Put together a me-only statement that allows you to say I'm different than anybody or anything else you're going to compare me to. Back it up with a secret sauce delivery system or in your product itself. You also have to have something called a statement of mastery, which is an irresistible brand promise. And then the messaging has to be emotional. And that's a conversation for another time, Jules, because it possibly could be that some of you, if I were to go to your website or if I were to talk to you, if I were to read some of your marketing material, if you're coming across as being too logical, you run the risk of coming across as being dull and plain, uninteresting. Instead, you've got to make heart connections, not head connections. Remember, chicks connect. Chicks connect to the heart, right? And so your communication has to be the same way. And that means you have to learn that there's certain words in the English language that you should be aware of, that you may not be aware of, that allows you to make intimate connections, verbally and non-verbally, that entice, engage, and connect. All right? So these are the key elements that you want to focus on. So real quick, here's what I like to do for each of you. I have online an assessment tool that I put together. It's a quiz, it's a branding quiz. And you can go there and in 3 to 5 minutes, you can test your brand as it now stands to see how strong it is in 25 key areas. There are 25 critical areas that make up a big brand, a strong brand. I didn't get into all of them today. Obviously, didn't have the time. And it'll take you 3 to 5 minutes to rate yourself, and you'll get back, after you hit the submit button, you'll get back a report of findings, and you can take a look at how things are looking for you in terms of where you're strong, where you're weak, and what the missing pieces may be that could be hurting or hindering your success that you're not even aware of. So it's the whole thing of you don't know what you don't know. And the worst thing to do is to act like you do know what you don't know, or to act like what you don't know isn't important, because it's all about your brand. So if that's of interest to you and you'd like to go ahead and complete the quiz on your own, I won't be involved. This is you going to a website, okay? Is that it? Just submit it, and after you get the results back, if you want to have a brainstorming session with me by phone, we can do that too. We can discuss your results, all right? Because I'll be able to see what your numbers are and give you some feedback. And as Jewel will tell you, I'm a giver, not a taker. I give. So I want to sow this into your life. So if that's of interest to you, simply send me a text to the number you see on the screen. This is my cell, okay? This is my private cell number. Area code 310, California, 382-6539. Just text the word quiz and your name, and then we'll get you set up to take the assessment. Okay? So thank you, Jules, for having me here. This has been wonderful. And I hope people will go ahead and take advantage of my quiz. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I took the quiz and I have the printout of all my information. And so I have a ton of homework to do as far as just rethinking everything, you know. And I took 5 pages of notes again today, and I also took about 7 pictures, and we have this recorded. So, but I do believe in everything you're saying and just the importance of having that foundation. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm trying to get the slide back on. I'm doing a lousy job.
Screen share down bottom middle.
Oh, bottom middle. Let's
yeah.
see here. All right, bottom middle. Let me find out.
Do you see it down there?
Bottom middle.
So we had someone join us by phone as well. So I'm going to unmute you, and I'm not exactly sure who it is. So tell us who you are and unmute. There we go. And if you have any questions.
Hi, this is Leslie, and I came in a little late, but I wanted to get your phone number again because I'd like to take the quiz.
Sure. Hi, Leslie. It's area code 310-382-6539. So 310-382-6539.
This is great stuff. You really have it going on. I loved what you said.
Oh, thank you.
I do logo design, and I preach to my clients all the time, but you said it in a more eloquent way. I just tell them that their business card sucks, and then we go from there.
Well, Gerry, Leslie designed the Chicks Connect logo and
awesome.
Does a lot of our memes and a lot of our graphic design. So, and I remember coming back from CEO Space and telling her how exciting it was, because it seemed like that first CEO Space I went to, everyone was talking about the same thing, that they had to do branding first. I mean, so you really stood out, Gerry, and then everyone else seemed to like piggyback on everything that you were talking about. And so I went back and told Leslie, oh my gosh, you've got to go to CEO Space. Everyone is talking branding, which is something that Leslie loves and is so talented in her graphic design. So we've been very fortunate to have her talents with our company.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Leslie. I look forward to getting your text.
Thank you for everything. You're a gem and a wonder.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well, Leslie, you have to go back and watch the beginning because Gerry shared a photo of himself holding a record album, and I'm sure you're familiar with the Motown, yeah.
Oh yeah. I've done more CD inserts, and I was a DJ for God knows 12 years in San Francisco.
Wow,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I did jazz and blues. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully
Motown. Yeah.
Motown's a great brand. I mean, as you know,
that's a brand. We're talking.
Yeah. That's a brand, all right. That's for sure.
Well, great. Well, Gerry, we have this recorded. Leslie, did you have any specific questions for Gerry?
No, I want to do the replay because I wasn't able to get in on time, but and I'm suffering succotash because of it. But I'm that means I'm disappointed I wasn't here for the whole thing. But I would love the replay. So will there be a replay?
Yes, I have this recording right now, so it will be uploaded, and then I'll put it in the newsletter, as well as if you go to the website chicksconnect.com, down in our blog area, there's a bio of Gerry, his picture, and then I'll put the link to the replay. Then those people that watch it all the way through will have his slide with his phone number at the end so they can submit that text for the quiz and get their printout for their specific business as well. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I rebranded after being Lake Oswego Graphics, which worked for me for a long time. I rebranded as Leslie the Brand Boss. And the reason I did that is because I'm kind of bossy about branding.
Wow.
And people go, kinda? They say, you're kind of bossy?
Where are you located?
I'm in Lake Oswego, Oregon.
Oh, cool.
Near Portland.
Oh,
near
nice.
Portland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, lovely little village here.
Okay.
There it
Where
is.
Chicks was founded. Chicks was founded.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
that's what Jules was telling me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Lovely. So
Right.
I used to be in San Francisco. But anyway, great to know you, and I'll do your little test, and I can't wait to find out how I'm doing.
And I think, George, you're gonna get this posted and everything out tomorrow, right? So we'll see what happens.
yes.
Yeah.
So and we'll hope that more people will take that quiz and find out what they have, what they need to work on. So that's kind of, I guess, one of our things at Chicks Connect is that the women are all willing to grow and learn. And so they aren't just remaining at the status quo. They want to continue to improve themselves in all areas. Even when they have an expertise in an area, they still can learn and grow. And we all know that we can do that, from one another. So
especially you're right about that. Especially this topic, because it's so misunderstood, because that word gets thrown around, branding. So what we did here tonight was really distill it down into some nuts and bolts information, some real morsels. And so your network would love for you to send this to them.
Yes. And while I have you here, I'm going to take advantage of one question for myself if I can. So how can Chicks Connect be the Starbucks, the Nike? What advice do you have for me that helps us?
It starts with the first tip. It's a strategic answer. Where's the gap? Where's your blue ocean? So when people say your brand name, boom, what do they associate with it? Remember early on in the presentation, Yahoo.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, when people say Chicks Connect, so if you were to survey your members, that's a great place to find out.
Okay.
So if you have 100 members and you have 100 different answers, that's not good, right?
Right.
So I always start. So that's one part. The other part of that, though, is to look at what are women looking for from an organization like yours that they cannot find presently, right? So the whole thing about finding gaps has to do with what I also said. They want A, B, and C, and they're selling for D, E, and F. And you want to be able to say, hey, guess what? Chicks Connect has the A, B, and C you've been looking for. And you want to know what else? Nobody else has it but me or us, right? So now you're me only, blue ocean, standing alone above the rest of the crowd. That's the key.
Let me interrupt here and say that Jules is not the kind of person to put her thumbs under her suspenders and do that kind of thing. She's more humble than that. And that is her downfall, because she's sweet and she's kind and she wants everybody to get along, and we all do. But I think putting a stake in the ground is sometimes hard for Jules. Am I correct?
Yes, and I even sent Gerry an email that he's talking about the intimate part and I'm definitely heartfelt. I love them and things like that. But it's the saying that I do this and nobody else does. That's really hard for me. I can picture what you're saying, Leslie, but I need to do that, because when the women are posting the impact that it's making on them, more women need to know about this. Someone just posted something on my wall, 3 minutes ago, as to how their hour-long meeting lasted an hour and 45 minutes because they were discussing the lesson that I created, and they didn't want to leave. They were finding so much value in it. And so it's just like, gosh, more more women need to know this exists, and I need to let them know, but how do I, so that's the piece. I just need to do it. And so anyway.
It's really time for you to put that stake in the ground and own it and claim it. And that's just what Gerry said. He said, claim it.
Yeah.
He said, claim it. Didn't he? Didn't he say claim it? I wrote it down.
Assume the throne and claim the space.
It's in my notes.
Name it.
Name it, claim it.
Claim it, name it.
Yeah. Oh, that part, yes. Name it,
that was even
be in it and walk in it. Yeah.
Be in it, walk in it. It was hard for me, even though I know I'm good at what I do, to call myself Leslie the brand boss, and I'm not even the one who thought about that, because I can't do it for myself. I had a coach tell me, you're telling everybody else to brand themselves. What about you? And I went, gulp, okay. And within 15 minutes, I had it. Because I knew at that moment I needed it. So yeah, even for me, and I'm bold in this, it was really hard to go, ooh, Leslie the brand boss. And then I just went, yeah, I can own it. I know I can own it. It didn't take me long to wrap my brain around it. But,
well,
yeah,
Gerry,
so
oh, sorry, Leslie, go ahead.
I'm just saying that, Jules, I couldn't do that for myself. So I understand that you didn't want to put your stake in the ground and say, here I am, but it's time.
All right, Gerry. So how can we best support you? We're going to share this. I'm going to encourage all the chicks to share it out to their networks as well. But how else can we support you and everything you're up to?
I would just start with this. I like to practice what I preach. I talk to people who come to me as opposed to going after them.
You're the honey.
I'm the honey.
Not the fly. I wrote that one down too.
You're the honey.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for your
by
time.
The way, there's a lesson there for people in MLMs, which has to do with go after people who are coming towards you, because the traditional MLM person is chasing, and it shows up sometimes as being pushy and turn off for a lot of people. And one of the benefits for your members to personal brand themselves, personally big brand themselves, is to learn how to be the honey. I would teach them how to do that.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love it.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gerry. Mwah. Thanks for being on, Leslie.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Be happy, honey.
All right.
Bye.
Leslie, we'll talk to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.